Part 1. The Arrival. The human colony on Proxima 4 was teetering on the edge of annihilation. Alien invaders had descended upon the remote outpost with ruthless precision, their sleek ships blotting out the sun and their troops advancing with a relentless, mechanical efficiency. Captain Emily Carter, a seasoned soldier with a no-nonsense attitude, stood at the forefront of her beleaguered defense forces. Beside her was Lieutenant Marcus Chen, her right-hand man, who scanned the horizon with wary eyes. In the colony's underground lab, Dr. Alan Voss, the chief scientist, was frantically working on a weapon that could turn the tide. His brilliance was matched only by his absent-mindedness, and today, both were in overdrive. The situation was dire, and hope was in short supply. As the next wave of alien troops surged toward the colony's perimeter, the defenders braced for impact. Plasma blasts seared the air, and the ground shook with the force of the attack. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a figure clad in a tight red and black bodysuit appeared in the middle of the battlefield. The newcomer moved with an erratic, unpredictable grace, his movements a blur of acrobatics and deadly efficiency. He wielded twin katanas with lethal precision, slicing through the alien ranks as if they were paper. Plasma bolts that struck him seemed to do little harm. His wounds closed almost as soon as they were inflicted. It was as if he were unkillable. "Wade's the name," he shouted, his voice carrying over the din of battle. "But you can call me the Merc with a mouth. And you guys look like you could use a little help." Captain Carter watched in stunned silence as Wade continued to decimate the alien forces. His constant chatter and irreverent humor seemed out of place in the midst of such carnage. But there was no denying his effectiveness. "Who's this clown?" Lieutenant Chen muttered, half in awe and half in suspicion. "No idea," Carter replied. "But he's buying us some time. Let's make the most of it." Wade fought with a chaotic energy that left both enemies and allies bewildered. One moment he was dismembering an alien soldier with a flourish, and the next he was making jokes about the latest holovid dramas. His behavior was as unpredictable as it was effective. In the brief lull following the initial assault, Wade made his way to the colony's command center. He found Captain Carter and her team regrouping, their expressions a mix of gratitude and confusion. "Who are you?" Carter demanded, her voice edged with suspicion. "I'm the guy who just saved your bacon," Wade replied with a grin. "And speaking of bacon, got any chimichangas around here? I'm starving." "Chimichangas?" Dr. Voss echoed, bewildered. "Never mind," Wade said with a dismissive wave. "What's the plan, boss lady?" Carter frowned but decided to go along with it. "We're holding the line until Dr. Voss can finish his weapon. If it works, we might have a chance to push them back." "Sounds like a plan," Wade said, twirling a katana idly. "I'll keep the uglies busy. Just yell if you need me." As the colony's defenders prepared for the next wave, Wade's presence brought a strange mix of hope and chaos. He patrolled the perimeter, his antics keeping the morale high even as the situation grew more desperate. He joked with the soldiers, making absurd pop culture references that no one quite understood, and his regenerative healing factor ensured he was always ready for the next fight. When the aliens attacked again, Wade was in the thick of it, his katanas flashing and his mouth running. "Is that all you got? I've seen tougher fights in a daycare. Come on, I've got a chimichanga craving that won't quit." His unkillable nature and fearless combat style were a game changer. Plasma blasts that would have felled any other warrior barely slowed him down. He took hits that would have killed a lesser being and shrugged them off with a laugh and a quip. In the chaos of battle, Wade's true value became clear. His unpredictable behavior kept the aliens off balance, and his relentless humor provided a much-needed boost to the weary defenders. As he fought, he seemed to have an almost supernatural sense of the battlefield, his actions guided by an internal logic that only he understood. Captain Carter couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for the mysterious Vigilante. He was an enigma, wrapped in a red and black suit, but there was no denying his effectiveness. By the time the battle subsided, Wade had become a legend among the colony's defenders. He was the masked vigilante with a penchant for chaos and a love for chimichangas, a figure who defied explanation and seemed to thrive on the impossible. As they prepared for the final stand, the colony's defenders knew one thing for certain. With Wade on their side, they had a fighting chance. Part 2. The Final Stand.
Oh, hello.
The colony on Proxima 4 had become a fortress under siege. Each passing hour brought new waves of alien attackers, but the defenders, bolstered by the presence of their mysterious ally Wade, held their ground. Captain Emily Carter, her face set in a mask of determination, coordinated the defense with military precision. Beside her, Lieutenant Marcus Chen directed squads of soldiers to reinforce the most vulnerable points of their perimeter. In the underground lab, Dr. Alan Voss was on the verge of a breakthrough. The device he had been working on, a powerful energy weapon capable of disrupting the aliens' advanced technology, was nearly complete. But time was running out. As another wave of alien troops approached, Wade was already in motion. He seemed to be everywhere at once, his twin katanas cutting through the enemy ranks with lethal efficiency. His constant chatter and irreverent humor continued unabated, a bizarre counterpoint to the grim reality of the battle. "Hey, ugly!" Wade shouted at a particularly large alien warrior. "You ever consider a career in stand-up comedy? Because you are killing me out here." The alien swung its massive weapon at Wade, who dodged with ease and retaliated with a flurry of slashes. "Seriously, who does your makeup? I haven't seen a face like that since the last horror flick marathon." Captain Carter watched Wade in action, shaking her head in a mix of disbelief and admiration. "He's insane," she muttered to Chen. "He's effective," Chen replied, "and we need all the help we can get." As the battle raged on, Wade's regenerative healing factor kept him in the fight. No matter how many times he was struck down, he bounced back, his wounds closing almost instantly. It was as if he thrived on the chaos, his unpredictable behavior and boundless energy a constant thorn in the side of the alien invaders. In the command center, Dr. Voss burst in, holding a small, glowing device. "It's ready," he announced, his eyes wide with excitement. "This should disrupt their technology long enough for us to mount a counterattack." "Good work, Doctor," Carter said. She turned to Wade, who had just sauntered in, a grin plastered across his face. "Wade, we need you to deploy this device. It's our best shot at turning the tide." Wade took the device, examining it with interest. "Shiny. You got it, boss lady. Where do I stick this thing?" "Near the heart of their command center," Voss explained. "It will need to be activated manually." Wade nodded, tucking the device into his belt. "Consider it done. And if I don't make it back, make sure someone keeps my chimichanga stash safe." With that, Wade was off, moving through the battlefield with a grace that belied his chaotic nature. He cut a path through the alien troops, his destination clear. Behind him, Captain Carter rallied her forces for the final push. As Wade approached the alien command center, he encountered Commander Zelthar, the ruthless leader of the invaders. The alien commander stood tall, his eyes narrowing as he took in the sight of the masked vigilante. "You," Zelthar hissed, "you are the one causing all this trouble." Wade grinned, drawing his katanas. "Guilty as charged. And you're the one with the ugly mug trying to take over our colony. Let's dance." The ensuing battle was a whirlwind of blades and plasma blasts. Zelthar was a formidable opponent, but Wade's unpredictable fighting style and regenerative abilities gave him the edge. Every time the alien commander landed a blow, Wade shrugged it off with a quip. "You hit like my grandma," Wade taunted, dodging another strike. "And she's been dead for years." With a final, decisive move, Wade disarmed Zelthar and activated the device. A surge of energy rippled through the alien command center, disrupting their systems and causing chaos among their ranks. Back at the colony, the defenders seized the opportunity. Captain Carter led the charge, her troops pushing the disoriented aliens back. Plasma blasts and gunfire filled the air as the humans mounted their counterattack with renewed vigor. Lieutenant Chen, fighting at Carter's side, marveled at the turnaround. "It's working. They're falling back." Wade rejoined the fray, his presence a rallying point for the defenders. "That's right, run, you scaly bastards. And don't come back unless you got a peace treaty and a chimichanga in hand." The battle reached its climax as the aliens, their command structure in disarray, began to retreat. Commander Zelthar, wounded and humiliated, was forced to order a full withdrawal. As the last of the alien ships fled into the sky, a cheer went up among the human defenders. The colony was saved. Captain Carter approached Wade, who was nonchalantly wiping alien blood off his katanas. "I don't know who you are or where you came from, but we owe you our lives." Wade shrugged, slipping his katanas back into their sheaths. "Just doing what I do best, boss lady. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a date with a chimichanga." Before anyone could say another word, Wade disappeared into the shadows, leaving the defenders to celebrate their hard-won victory. In the aftermath of the battle, the colony began to rebuild. Dr. Voss's weapon had proven its worth, and the people of Proxima 4 could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the legend of the mysterious red and black vigilante lingered, a reminder of the day a chaotic hero turned the tide. As Captain Carter looked out over her recovering colony, she couldn't help but smile. Whoever Wade was, he had given them more than just a victory. He had given them hope. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of the galaxy, Wade was already onto his next adventure, leaving a trail of chimichanga wrappers and bewildered enemies in his wake.